Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today. Tell me more about your background and your upbringing so let everyone get to know you a little bit better.
I have four sisters, two brothers. My mom and dad are both from Hawaii. My mom's from Maui. My dad's from Kauai. Everybody was born and raised there except for me. I'm the youngest one. My youngest brother is 10 years older than me. So imagine
wow.
that. There's a big space. My siblings always say that they could be my parents. So anyway, but we have a big, tight family. We're all really close. My nieces and nephews, all of us, we just, spent a lot of time together. When we were young, it was my nieces and my cousins were my friends, basically. We every weekend we would go to each other's home, my mom and her sister's home, and just travel from house to house and just have a good time. And my dad, very easygoing, very chill, very gentle man, loved everyone. And my mom, she was the disciplinarian. She was the one that called all the shots. We didn't want to upset her. she was stern, but she was very, the flip side of her, she was very, funny and goofy and all that kind of stuff. But she called the shots for sure. My mom was married before, he passed away. So that's where I had two of my sisters, two of my brothers, and my dad had two daughters from his first marriage. She had passed away. So these are my half sisters and brothers, but we were raised together, and parents were strict and old fashioned. They came from a totally different generation, but like I said, I had a good childhood for the most part. But I was always raised where, my voice was not my voice, like I didn't seen but not heard kind of thing.
Right.
It was just that way. Crying was not very it was awkward to cry because it was just suck it up. You can, I'll give you something to cry about kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I heard that a ton of times. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
What are your ethnic backgrounds? Like, what's your ethnicities?
I'm Puerto Rican. Mhm.
And when growing up, do you remember what it was like? Like, do you remember I don't know why I'm being called to ask this. The first time you met a healer or
Mhm.
someone who did healing work on you
Mhm.
growing up that wasn't like traditional medicine.
Mhm.
Traditional, no, Western medicine is what I meant. That wasn't Western medicine.
Mhm. Well, it's funny because I just didn't really think much about healing. It was my sister, as I'm going through this now, I'm
Right.
remembering that my sister used to do a lot of
Oh,
healing, and it wasn't called healing,
what
but
was it called?
she would just, if somebody was talking about their emotions or, like they're in pain, she would instantly go give them a hug, put her hands over them, and she
Oh
would
wow.
just, I don't know what she used to think she was doing because she didn't specifically say she was healing, but she just, she would put their hands over them. She would, um, it was just natural for her. Apparently, my grandmother was a healer, and family. I mean, people used to come and bring their babies to her in Hawaii, and she would do healing on people. But for me myself, it was my sister. But like I said, we didn't really call it healing or anything like that. It was just something that she naturally did. And it's funny, as I'm going through this thing now, I'm actually feeling her presence a lot.
Yeah, they made me ask that question. Because I was like, why am I asking this right now? But they're making me ask that question because one of my first introductions to non non-Western healing, which is actually
Mhm,
traditional healing,
mhm,
was my auntie who's Puerto Rican.
mhm.
And my mom would drive me to her house in the middle of the night and they would call it huli stomach, like flip stomach, and I just
Mhm.
spent a lot of
Yes.
money And she would just do something with the oils and her hands and motions and whatever.
Yeah.
But I felt better.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my mom putting me in the car and driving 20 minutes to the house and calling them on the landline. We are leaving
Mm-hmm.
now. We'll be there in 20 minutes. And it'd be in the middle of the night and I just couldn't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And multiple times. And that just stands out in my mind so much that I was so little and being worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always my mom, not my dad taking me. It was my mom. Super open to all these things. And she's one of the reasons that I've been open to other modalities, growing up.
Right.
But so funny, I think they had me ask
Uh,
you that. Maybe sister
that's
wanted a little bit of credit here.
yeah, right. Like you're forgetting about me.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, then what kind of led you down this path to finding Reiki, which is essentially what your
Mm-hmm.
sister was doing, is placing hands,
Yeah.
intentions,
Mm-hmm.
and love to help the person.
Well, to be honest with you, when I was at one of my other jobs,
Mm-hmm.
my boss had asked me one time, like, what do you like to do when you're not at work? Like, what are your hobbies or whatever? And I felt a little embarrassed because for the first time I realized, like, shoot, I don't even know. I don't even know what I like to do. I know what I used to like to do, but I don't know what
Yeah.
And I sat there and thought about it long after I left that job and just was like, "God, I don't know who I am anymore. Like I know I'm a mother, I'm a wife,
Mm-hmm.
I was a caregiver, all those things. And, my kids are grown now. And I think I was in this place of like, what do I do now? Like, who am I now that all my roles are done,
Yeah. And
or
how old are your kids now?
one's 32, one's 27, 26, 20. And I have a granddaughter, she's 4, she's going to be 5. And, so it's my
So
kids are
they're
grown.
raised. Yeah. So
Yeah.
then now it's like all coming back to you. And then this
Yeah.
question, comes up like, what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? And you're like, I really can't answer that.
Right.
Because
So
it's been about taking care of everyone else for years.
yes. And my mother, my dad, my mother-in-law, so now I just kind of was going through the self-discovery. I was working with my friend Annabelle, and she was going through Reiki and, taking classes and, going through her own spiritual journey. And we would talk and converse, and I found myself drawn to that. And it's just funny how we even got to meet in the first place. But um, I was drawn to what she was doing, and it was just calling out to me. But it was because I was feeling like, maybe that's what I need to do, at least, have Reiki, experience Reiki for myself,
Yeah.
just as a way of self-discovery, my whole journey that I was trying to go through. And when I had Reiki done on me, I was just amazed. I just, the way I felt, the way the things that were coming to me when I was going through it, it was really amazing. So I took my classes with you, and I just felt like, to this day, like when I used to talk about, I don't even know who I am anymore, I used to feel really emotional, like on the verge of crying, because I was, here all these years have passed, and I like, what am I doing? And so now at this point, you know, I can talk about it and not feel emotional. I feel like this is it. This is where I'm supposed to
You have
be.
a
This
lot
is,
to look forward to.
yeah,
Like,
I'm
remember
excited.
we talked about this and I had you reflect on last year,
Yeah,
everything that happened last year for you.
yes.
You did last year what would probably take people at least 3 to 4 years to do
Hmm. Hmm.
in 1 year,
Yeah,
And so I know there's no such thing as time technically,
right.
but in human life, there kind of is a timeline. And
Hmm.
you kind of made up for lost time a little bit because you kind of expedited um that learning process and taking difficult steps that some people put off to take,
Yeah,
but you're taking them,
yeah.
you know and I feel like the future is kind of wide open
Hmm.
for however you want to use your different skill sets
Yeah.
in helping people, which is just really, really exciting. you know.
It is exciting. I feel like come a long way, and I feel like I can really feel confident that this is it. You know, like I can confidently answer that question now of
Yeah,
what I like to do. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's exciting.
Hmm.
And I'm not gonna make you say your age on here, but I want people to realize that there is life after your kids grow up.
Hmm.
There's
Yes.
life after you have to take care of your parents,
Yes.
you know, till they transition. Like there's life after that
Hmm.
for you to create and for you to dream again and imagine again and get excited for,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I know
Totally.
this is gonna lead into the next question, but what types of people in the community are you most excited about serving and helping? I know you're going to come across people, all walks of life that are going to need your help, but which one, which ones kind of excite you to really serve them?
I There are two groups of people that I really am excited about working with. The first is kids, like teenagers. I've been in education for like 18 years at this point, and as a secretary, as a teacher, and I love the kids. I love the kids who are, have a little trouble at home, kind of lost, and who find themselves maybe in the office in trouble, all kinds of, that kind of kids who are just kind of struggling. I love those kids. I've always been connected to those kids. They've always were in my office talking with me. And I felt like I was always giving them life lessons. And so I love the idea of being able to help these kids, because there's only so far I could go as a secretary or as a
Yeah.
teacher, without crossing boundaries or whatever, like, the parents, I can't do much, but with Reiki, I feel like I can, talk to who they are inside and
Yeah.
help them find clarity and help them figure out the direction they want to go in life. So I'm excited about that. Um, the second group of people is because I was a caregiver to my parents and my mother-in-law. I feel really, really passionate about working with um, people who are at their end of life, doing end of life Reiki. I feel like, you know, like especially with my mom at the end, like she had 1 week of decline, as she's going through her experience, and how much nicer it would have been. Like it was a special time for me. I felt like as sad as it was also a sacred time, and how lucky and blessed I felt to be able to be part of this transition she was going through.
Yeah.
And I thought how wonderful it would be if she had had someone who could have came and helped her, be at peace and transition and move forward into her next life. And I just think it would be wonderful also to be able to be there for the caregivers, because I know for caregivers, they're spending 24/7 of their life, however it was that they were taking care of them, whether it was months, years, days, whatever it was. Their whole focus has been on this
And
the
they
loved
can't pour from an empty cup. Somebody needs to be pouring
Yes,
into them and helping them recharge too.
right,
Yeah.
right. And be able to like give them some support, because now they're going to be in this new normal that they don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I could really, because I've been through it myself several times, like I feel like I could really be of comfort, be of guidance, be someone that they could relate to, because I understand how they feel. I get it. It's not an easy time, and you know, but at the same time, their loved one has poured into them their whole life. To
Mhm.
be able to give it back to someone and help them transition would be great.
I remember growing up and my grandma, Yap on that side was always a caregiver
Hmm.
for everyone till they transitioned.
Hmm.
All the way up, to my grandpa and also to her boyfriend after my grandpa when he passed.
Hmm.
And I remember after the dust settles and everybody you know, things kind of go back to normal for everyone
Yeah.
else. That's the hardest time
Mm-hmm.
for her, or from what I heard from her. And I can imagine that that is the hardest time for people, because everyone else's life kind of returns to some type of normal,
Yes.
and no one's checking on her as
Mm-hmm.
much. You have, everyone at the house
Yeah.
those days that follow. And then after that, it's like, then what, right?
Then all of a sudden you're alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have someone to talk to, and, or someone to, hold space for you. And I think, how you're helping people, it's not even just helping that person to transition. It's not even helping the family initially after. It's even the ongoing
Yes.
support after
Mm-hmm.
that, when the dust settles and everyone's back to their normal, but that person is still grieving and healing and needing someone to talk to, that can hold space and understand, where
Yeah.
they're coming from. And some days are going to be easier, some days are going to be harder. They might, memory might trigger that just kind of puts them into, like, just kind of a lower vibrational state for a couple days.
Right.
All those kind of things. So in both areas that you just named, it's very needed. The thing
Mm-hmm.
that excites me about the kids is that if we can get to them when they're young,
Yes.
then we don't have to help them at 50 or 40 or even, whatever, to make these huge shifts and huge, healing and all these things, because we're giving them tools when they're young
Mm-hmm.
to deal with stress, to deal with peers, to deal with relationships, to deal with communication.
Mm-hmm.
The number one thing, when I have a little survey going every time I meet a teenager, I'll ask them what is the most stressful thing, or what's the biggest thing in their life, or what do they see me as a life coach helping with, like them and their peers. It all comes to self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
People don't love themselves.
Yeah.
And I know, high school people compare and all that, but we didn't have to grow up with the internet and social media.
Yeah.
When we went home, we went home. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we played in the yard, played with your cousins, rode bike. Okay, sun's coming down. We got to get home. We eat dinner, like
Mm-hmm.
that, right? We're not checking our phone constantly, being bullied on social media, scared to open and see if someone posted
Yeah.
something or harassed us. None of that. Like, you go
It
home,
doesn't
and you
stop once they
literally,
go home. Mm-hmm.
yeah, peace of mind. And you're around people that love you and care about you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's done. So it's such a different time now, and I think teenagers really do need support, and they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents.
Yeah.
And honestly, the parents are busy working and trying to provide. We're in a
Mm-hmm.
shit economy right now,
Yeah.
the recession. Like, you think the parent is going to be like, let me sit with you for an hour to talk about your emotions and the girl who picked on you today? Like, that's pretty much
Right.
not going to happen, not in most households.
Right.
So I think, you helping with that would be tremendous. I actually just saw someone post on Nextdoor that their teenage daughter, needed help, but they're looking for some. Actually, I should send it to you.
Mm.
Looking for some type of therapy, or something to help her, but they need a sliding scale because they can't pay like regular therapy
Mm-hmm.
prices. But
Mm.
their daughter needs help.
Oh, see, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, Rod just actually showed that to me, so I actually might screenshot that and forward it to you to see if there's some way you could just reach out. But because you might as well just offer it,
Yeah.
offer it up, and if the teenager is excited to try something a little less, you know I hate when they say traditional, because traditional is like the old way that we used to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's exciting. And I've had so many teenagers in my office, and I love that they're so raw and like
Mm-hmm.
straightforward, and they don't beat around the bush with me. And I really like that. And if they have questions, they ask. And um, the first question is, are you gonna tell my parents if I tell you I smoke, or whatever? And I'm like, no. That's between us, and that's up to you if you want to share that information with them. I
Yeah.
only have to say anything if you're a threat to yourself or to others, but if you're not a threat
Yeah.
to yourself or to others, then we're just having a conversation.
Yeah. I instantly feel such comfort when I'm relating to them. Like I love it. I do. I really love that group of kids. I was thinking ages 16 through 24. because I feel like, it's a good age, at 24, maybe they made some mistakes already that maybe they wish they could turn around, or they're feeling lost already. Like, shoot, I did that and now what? You got a whole life ahead of you, and let's figure it out,
Yeah,
Mhm.
they really do. And they're
Mhm.
trying to figure out what still makes sense, what they were taught. Do I bring that into my life
Yeah.
still? Because I'm at the age where I'm an adult, a young adult now.
Mhm.
Is what I was taught when I was younger still something I want to implement in my life now or
Mhm.
not? Do I throw that out, or do I modify the teachings that I had,
Yeah.
growing up? So it
Yes.
fits more with my beliefs now as this young adult.
Right.
They're
Right.
really navigating a lot, you know.
Yeah. I-
Um,
I'm
as you're going through this, um, time helping your mom, um,
Mhm.
at her end of life, and then fast forward to you learning all of this Reiki stuff. Do you have any advice for other people who are that person, that pillar for their family, or supporting a parent or a loved one till they leave, the spirit leaves the body? Do you have any advice for them?
I think it's important, you're spending, because you have to also, I mean, it's requiring you to spend your 24/7 caring for this person. I think it's really, really important to find time for yourself, because you cannot pour into them what you don't have yourself. And I think it's really important to, find an outlet of some sort, whether it's, find a Reiki healer, someone who can listen to you, who can give you a moment to let all your thoughts kind of quiet down a little bit,
Yeah.
and see who you are inside. What are you feeling? You're going through a lot of things right now, like, what do you need? How can someone help you?
Mhm.
Because obviously you're helping your person that's going through this right now, but you need help yourself, even to prepare yourself for what's going to happen.
Yeah, I
you
think
know
sometimes emotionally they shove down the emotions because they have to be
yes,
look strong and feel
yes,
strong for the family, right? And
yes,
ask all the right things to the doctor and make sure your mind is like, like that. So you shove
right,
down your own personal emotions,
yes,
and then one day it's just gonna smack you in the face, because
yes,
you haven't taken any time or any
hmm,
reflection time with that.
right, right,
So meditation, Reiki, going for a walk in nature, even for 20 minutes a day, sitting by
yes,
the water, even journaling, calling
hmm,
a friend who's not so close to the situation that can
yes,
provide some support and a listening ear,
yes,
you know. But yeah,
hmm,
shoving the emotions down and thinking, okay, I'm just gonna be like, I have to be strong, I have to be strong, I have to be strong. All that pent up energy is going to come out in some form
right.
later.
They need to find some way to take care of themselves through this process.
Yeah.
Just have to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm so excited for you. If
Hmm.
anyone listening to this interview, whether they found you on the network channel or
Hmm.
they found you on my YouTube channel, I hope that they can fill out the form, send that in to you, and
Yeah.
then you can get back to them and connect with them. And if they have any
Hmm.
questions, they can also ask you in the form, or when you reach out to them, you guys can
Hmm.
hop on a quick, phone call to introduce yourselves. But I am excited for you and all the people
Yeah.
that you're going to come across and help and remind them, just how beautiful life is and that there is support,
Yeah.
and ask for help.
Yep.
It's okay to just reach out and ask for help. It starts there.
Hmm.
And you just never know, who you might inspire just from someone watching this and hearing,
Hmm.
your story where, with that one question, just that one question that person asked you
Yes.
really made you reflect.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's it when we're coaching, right? There's sometimes just that one question we ask the client that just shifts everything.
Hmm.
So
It's
that's
so it's funny when you think about that.
one question, right? Just this
One question.
reflection, it just hits you and you really go in deep and
Hmm.
sit with that.
Hmm.
Sit with that and go,
Yeah.
okay, now what does that mean?
Right.
you know so that's what's the power of coaching too. That's what we do in life
Hmm.
coaching, is really asking some tough questions and being very neutral, non-judgmental, but helping people take that time to reflect,
Hmm.
so they're not just always in the hamster wheel, they're not learning their lessons, they're not reflecting on anything, and then they just keep doing the same thing.
Right.
So
Right.
it's exciting. So thank you so much for doing this interview with me, and I hope people will reach out to you.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it.